This is just a video walkthrough of what you will need in order to work on your STEAM project in forensics. So if we take a quick look up here, we have a deadline sheet, and the deadline sheet has different things that you have to have done and the dates. And the good thing about it, it is also in your Google Calendar. So if you go into your calendar, your dates should be showing up. If not, we'll cover that in class to ensure everybody does. As you can see, there's a lot of material, and we call this STEM, science, technology, English, art, and math, because we're going to be back and forth between all of these repeatedly during this period of time. We take a look at the science. There's two things that will be checked off for science, and the dates are over right here. One is an e-duotang, which you guys already have your connection to, with underline important information. And once you're able to show me that, you're able to do your teacher-made test to make sure you know all of this information. In your science, you will have, in Science Today, an activity here that has two sets of notes that you can look through. And as you can see here, here are the science notes that you get to read, and no test will be given before Thursday. You have to get at least an 80% or a 4 and above in order to begin the next section. The evidence creating section, you'll be using file cards and baggies to make about 12 different clues. They need to be able to describe means, motive, and opportunity for each one. They also have to have the coordinates, which we'll talk about in a little while in math, and you have to have at least one clue from each in there. So means, motive, and opportunity. You cannot have all means, you cannot have all motive, you cannot have all opportunity, but you could have 5 means, 5 motive, and 2 opportunity, so long as you have all 3 covered. So this here is your science walkthrough. Make sure that you check off as you complete it your deadlines right here in your science sheet. The next part is your math section. In your math section, you're going to be using your X and Y graphics in order to, X and Y coordinate graphing, in order to be able to map out a matrix to be able to show where the clues are. There's a minimum of 12 points. They have to be written down in XY coordinates. You have to label each clue and list the clues along the side and preferably on the back for when you do your presentation. We'll just take a look at the math to show you on your math. I'll have more information to come, but you will have to have this grid, and again, the same sort of details that you just saw. An example of this from a student in the past is this thing here, except you will be using numbers on the left side and numbers on the bottom and putting the different clues in and putting the stuff like this onto your poster paper. If a clue is moving, you will have to say with math terms whether this thing has transitioned, and if you do say transition, you have to give the new coordinates on where the object stopped. If the object was leaned against and it rotated, you have to give the new coordinates. next one is art. As you can see here, you will be receiving 2 sets of marks. Even though you are getting marked in science for these, you will also be being marked as an art project. You will need to have these things done on yours in order to receive full marks for art. And when it comes to your clues have to be in such a way that they're neat. They have these things onto them to get full marks. And you can see here where the dates are due for these items. If you would like to see some examples, very quickly, you have an example of what fingerprints will look like, and it tells the means, mode, and opportunity. It can tell where it came from, as you can see with the evidence here, and the information on what kind of things that make sure that this proves the opportunity, such as the suspect fingerprints has loops, and that matches those found on the fingerprints of the glass. The ELA is by far the largest. You will need to study common vocabulary words and know the definitions and the phonics to be able to spell them. You also have some books with quizzes that you will need to be able to read and pass the quizzes as a reading assignment. You have 2 writing assignments. One will be as a newspaper article reporter of the crime, remembering that the crime has not been solved yet and that you cannot mention who the suspect is. We'll get into more details as we go by. You will also have to do a crime activity in social studies where you will be pretending to be a lawyer and have to prove means, motive, and opportunity. Because you are a prosecution lawyer, you also have to be able to tell a short story at the end that tells means, motive, opportunity, and ties in all of the clues that you will be using in order to prove your case. And then finally, you'll get a chance for the LA presentation section and in social studies to present your case. And this can either be live in class or with a wee video presenting your case so that everybody can see that whether or not you have proven your suspect is guilty. Your next section will be your social studies. In social studies, you need to be able to prepare the case and be a defending lawyer. You will have to have your speaker cards, which we will talk a little bit about later, with you, and those cards need to be checked first. You are only able to present the stuff that is on your speaker cards because this will be a copy of the clues. You cannot be putting information that's not in there so that if it's presented to court, both sides know what's being presented. You will also be judged in how well you're able to present your case. And what I mean by that is whether or not the classroom will vote hidden so that you don't see them, whether they think you have proven your suspect as guilty with means, motive, and opportunity. You will not lose marks if you don't, but you will get a 5% bonus if you are able to prove that the suspect has committed this crime. The teacher does reserve the right to overrule the class just like a regular judge would in a court case. Your last section, be checked off, includes two things that you have to have done, one towards the beginning and one towards the end. For health, you will need a letter of permission, and this permission letter gives anybody who you mention in the story or newspaper article the choice to turn down being used or to choose to stay. So unless you make up people, if you're going to use a friend, classmate, parent, or child that you have to get permission from them saying that it's okay. You also have to let them know what crime they are being accused of in this pretend activity. You also will have to keep a diary of the project. Your diary will be in Forms format, and you will be receiving a link for it. You will be receiving a link for it. So it will look something like this. You'll have to tell on that day if you are a detective, a reporter, or a lawyer, and I will let you know. You'll let me know what projects you're working on and where you plan to work the next day. Okay, this needs to be checked and fixed, but in your one that you'll have, it will let me know, very similar to what's up there, what your next plan of attack is, or if you need more time on the one that you're doing. These will be completed every